I've created these polygons using the editing tools, and now I want to do some basic styling. I also brought in these contours from the elevation data that we brought in for the study area. All right, this elevation data. So now I've added the points, and I want to do some basic styling for the basic map so that I can use that for additional field mapping or send that. Okay, to create my base map, I'm just going to quickly remove some toolbars from the view so that I can have more space. And so now I have boundary places, and I can explore the attribute table of the places that I brought in. So the first thing I'm going to do is to work on the styling. So I'm going to give geology a categorized styling, okay, based upon the values, okay, in the name field, and I'll click classify to classify them. Let me quickly remove other unnecessary points at this point. Alright, so when I classify the geology, I have three different classes here. I made the included polygons to be intrusions, and so to change their symbology here, I can double click the symbol, okay, and give it another color. I can make the sandstones a little lighter, and the shales a little darker. Alright, so I've styled my symbology water bodies. I want to style the rivers, and I'm just going to give them a default river style from the QGIS default style blue. And then the roads, I'm going to style the roads using a categorized style based upon their type, okay, category value. And I have three categories, so I can right click everything and give them one color and style. But I'm going to make all the other values just a simple black, okay. And then the major roads, I'll give them a default major road line, okay, from QGIS. While the minor road, okay, sorry, this is supposed to be for the major road. And then the minor road, I'll give them a minor road line, okay. And so that is how I can quickly style my base map. Now one more thing you can do, okay, is to label your features. So let's just explore how we can label our places using the values in the attribute table for the names. So once I click single label, this comes up, and I can apply single labels. I'm just going to make them a little bold and bigger, okay. So that is how we can quickly create a simple base map, alright, using the features in QGIS. I'm going to bring in the contours, okay, and give them a basic style. I'm going to reduce the opacity so that they do not clog the other features on the map, alright. And one more thing you can do is to label your contours using the contour values, okay, the elevation field in the contours, and give them the same color as my my map my contour lines. And so I want to reduce the number of contour labels in case they are too much, okay. So I can reduce that from the placement settings and go down to label rendering, and I can limit the number of labels, okay. to be shown on the map, and suppress labeling for any features that are smaller than a defined um, value. So I can possibly increase this to 10. So I've limited the number of labels showing on my map. So this is a good feature in case your labels are too much. You can also use an so I think I'm comfortable with my labels for contours at this point. All right, and then um, so my map is my base map is ready at this point, and so what I can do for um, so the only other thing to do is just adjust some label stylings, so that I can see my contours are overlapping my water body here. I want to make sure that the water body covers the contours, because the contours represent elevation. So I'm going to bring the contours below the water body. All right, but keep the contours above the geology polygons. Now, alternatively, what you can do to show elevation in your map is to use the DEM. Okay, now I can give my DEM a gray band and give my geology a transparency, so that I can see the underlying um, topography of the geology. Okay, so now I have that underlying elevation, adding a look and feel for elevation, and I can also add the contours for more effects as well. All right, so you can see how that comes together to make our map look a little bit more meaningful. All right, so this is how we can go around creating a simple base map in for our work. And so um, before we move into the next section of the course, I just want to explore how we can um, use elevation data to create um, cross sections, of our area, so we can have a look and feel of the region of interest, and also before we move into creating a layout for the map, for the base map. And so to do that, I'm just going to quickly remove some layers from the map. And so now we have our elevation layer, and to work with cross sections, we're going to require the use of a plugin. All right, so plugins I mentioned are attachment applications that are built into QGIS to allow us to do more extended functionality. So I'm going to install a plugin, and we can install plugins if you're connected to the internet from the QGIS plugin repository. And I have some downloaded plugins from the repository, and I'm going to install them via a zip file. So we'll be back in the next section of the course to explore how we can use the cross sections. But before that, um, let us explore how we can do basic 3D visualization, in QGIS using our elevation data. Now, QGIS currently in the default state uses a two-dimensional map view to render data and elevation data, and so we can also work with the three-dimensional layer data view in QGIS. We're going to projects, okay, with projects, and go to to create a view. Sorry, go to view and 3D map views and create a new 3D map view. So this 3D map window opens with the selected highlighted layers in the map. So any layer currently selected in the map will show up in our 3D map view. So you can also manage the current 3D map views by coming to view 3D map views, and you can see our 3D map view here. I can click manage 3D map views, and I can do some functions like removing 3D map views, renaming them, okay, or duplicating them. And so there are a number of tools here. I can use the pan tool to move the item in the view around. I can zoom in, okay, to see all features in the view. This allows us to show a toolbar for performing edits in 3D, and we can use this to toggle the on-screen navigation tools over here, okay. And so there are some on-screen navigation tools that allow us to navigate through our map in 3D. This allows us to identify features. So when I click this, I can identify this feature here. I can use this to measure features in 3D, okay. And I can also use this to work with animations. And so what I'm just going to do right now is to try to render this in 3D. Okay, I will come to the settings, okay, to make some settings about my 3D configuration, like general settings about the 3D extent. Okay, the terrain, okay, we'll pick the elevation information of the scene from either using a flat terrain or using information from an elevation model like our DEM. So I'll select the DEM. Okay, so right now it's asking me to select a DEM elevation, and I'll select my elevation layer, okay, with the vertical exaggeration of 1. All right, you can also apply shading if I want, and I'll click OK. And now my 3D view is now taking elevation from my elevation layer, but I'm not currently seeing that now. So I'll use the navigation tools over here to do that. First thing I'll do is to tilt it up, okay, by clicking this to pan down, pan to the right and to the left. I can also rotate the view, okay, and use this to tilt the view to the way I think it should be. So I'm not getting much of a vertical exaggeration here, so I'll increase that by coming here and making that about 10. Alright, so now I can see the vertical exaggeration, and I can rotate this so that I can see the vertical exaggeration of my study area in more detail. So you can play around this to have a look and feel of what your study area might look like. And so if I'm comfortable with this, I can export this 3D view, alright, by coming here and selecting export to save as an image. I can add that image into my map, okay. Create a folder called 3D. I can select an image format I want to use, okay, like a PNG format, and say scene1. So that is saved in my project folder, and I can also preview that using a photo application. So this can be added into my reports or into my write-up. Alright, so I can close the 3D view for now and save my project, which saves everything in the 3D view as well. So we're back to the map view, and we want to explore how we can work with layers. Okay, and so um, in the next section we're going to be working with um, the 3D plugin window, okay, to allow us to generate a cross section and also um, to do basic 3D section analysis to allow us to visualize the range of elevations across a defined line, okay, and also to add that to our map layout.